and beneficial to all of you. And as you know, today we have more experienced and skillful speakers for all of you. I'm Timothy, a second year student from the CSE department.
I'm Amit, a sophomore from CSE department.
And we would like to take you forward with this session of Block Talk.
Now I request Mr. Bhagirath Kumar Lader, who is currently a chief manager at Gale India, is to take on the session on other applications of blockchain.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So, thank you everyone. Thank you for giving me this opportunity to be part of this program. And I hope it will be, a great session for all of you. So let us start. So one thing before we start, I would like to ask is, we recently, we must have heard the news, that who is the richest person in whole of Asia. And many a time, we may think that richest person is our own Indian, but our own Indian, Mr. Mukesh Ambani, has been surpassed by another gentleman from China. And that gentleman had something to do with, cryptocurrency or crypto assets. So crypto assets or cryptocurrency is one very, promising area, which we may think might be just a fade or bubble or something, but it is a very important area for our future. And this gentleman, by just, being part of that cryptocurrency exchange, he became so rich that he is the richest person now in whole Asia. So today we are talking about that great technology. So I have divided my presentation into 4 sections. And first of all, we need to understand what is blockchain technology. Then we will deep dive into features of blockchain system. What are the important features? Then we talk about blockchain ecosystem, and then we talk about blockchain applications. And today I don't want to just talk about general things, so that we simply remember those terms but we don't understand the concept. But today we will be talking about concept, how a blockchain can be used for a particular purpose. Many a time we think that blockchain is just a technology out there, and we may or may not be part of this whole revolution. But that is not so, and we will be discussing today. I think you will find it very interesting that we discuss the latest in this domain, what is happening and how we all can be part of blockchain revolution. So first of all, what is blockchain? So blockchain is a technology that allows for a distributed ledger that keeps track of all changes and transactions that occur within a network. This ledger is decentralized and is hosted on every system that is a part of it. These members are known as nodes or peers rather than one isolated server. So there is no concept of server here. There is a concept of peers. Now, how do we define this blockchain to a simple person or to somebody maybe in our home or maybe in our to a friend, what a blockchain technology is? So there are very simple things that we can talk about. So first of all, blockchain is a digital diary, and this important thing about this diary is that it is almost impossible to forge. You cannot change the contents of this diary just like that. So whatever is written is written. And here this data is stored digitally and has a common history, meaning that everybody who is part of the system will see the same picture. Nobody will see a different picture. The history of the transactions or history of what is happening in the network is transparent to all. everybody has, same, I would say, the source of truth. Third is that transactions are secured with digital signatures. So which means authentic, meaning nobody can say that this is not my, this is not my transaction, or this is not what I have done. Whatever is done on the system is authentic. So we have a proof, that whatever is being done in a system is done through a digital signature, which cannot be forged. And now we can say that, how blockchain, when we say the word chain, which means it is connected. So it actually means that each of the block or each of the element of this diary, or I would say page of this diary, digital diary, it is linked to the previous page. So until unless you change the previous page, you cannot change the current page. Now, when you want to go to the previous page, then if you want to change the previous page, you have to go back and change the page before that. So this is how the whole information is chained, and it cannot be, modified just like that. So blockchain may be defined as a technology platform where peers, I would say participant computers, can exchange values, and they can exchange values using digital assets, which we will be talking in detail, without the need of a central agency. So central agency is not required, and peers can, do the transaction. And another way to define it would be a peer-to-peer append-only shared or distributed data store that uses a consensus mechanism to synchronize cryptographically secured data. So that is another way of telling what blockchain is. Or you can say blockchain is simply a selection of transactions bundled together in order to organize them logically. A reference to previous block is included in the block unless it is the genesis or the first block. So that is how we define blockchain. Now, what is important about blockchain? Blockchain is a technology that establishes trust. Now, how do we understand it? How does it actually develop trust? So technically, when we say that each block is stamped with a unique cryptographic code, ensuring records cannot be counterfeited or changed. So changing of the record or making a false record is not possible. Since all the participants have the copy of the entire blockchain, they can detect any tampering. So there is a mechanism built in using, we can check the hashes, Merkle trees there, and many other, important elements are there in this particular technology that allows us to detect any change in a fraction of a second. And when hashes match up across the chain, we know that we can trust the record. The record that is there for A is same as the record that is there for B. So that is how it is done. Now, how do we understand this in another way would be, for example, like, there is a bigger box. Inside that bigger box, there is a smaller box. Inside that smaller box, there is yet another smaller box and yet another smaller box, something like that. So until unless you keep on changing all the or keep on opening all the boxes, you cannot reach to the first box. So we have to change or open each and every box, until we reach to the first one. So that is how, this whole thing is secured. So and if you want to change the first one, you have to change the entire chain. That is how the security of the system is preserved. So layman's definition would be a blockchain is an ever-growing, secure, shared record-keeping system in which each user of the data holds a copy of the records, which can only be updated if all the parties involved in the transaction agree to update. So that is very important thing. That it is not one person can change the record. And technically, it is a peer-to-peer distributed ledger that is cryptographically secure, append only, immutable, that is extremely hard to change, and updatable only via consensus or agreement among peers. So these are the key elements of a blockchain system. So we discussed the important thing, peer to peer, that it is there is no central server. Everybody is participating in the system. Then we have a distributed ledger. Ledger is something where we keep the record, and this is a very old system. Even around, I would say 3500 BC, or even in that period of time, people used to have records, and we are able to read those records from Mesopotamia and other cultures. Like Chinese also have old system of records. So this record keeping is a very old, tradition, and blockchain just makes it more secure, better. So it is a distributed ledger where we keep the record. This ledger is there everywhere. It is not there only in one system. Cryptographically secured means that CIA, these are three elements of a crypto, I would say cyber security or computer security. First of all, this C stands for confidentiality, and second is integrity, and third is authentication. So all these three elements are, we are able to maintain, or we are able to prove that all these three things exist in a blockchain powered system. Many a time we think, that these things are interchangeable, but these concepts are not interchangeable. Confidentiality is that only those who have the access should be able to view, that particular information. Integrity is that it cannot be modified by anybody. It can be modified only by authorized entities. And authentication means that there is an identity attached to the validity of a message, meaning that it has been done by a genuine person. So authentication. So these three important elements are maintained using cryptographic services. Data origin authentication is also done. Non-repudiation is a very important concept in cryptography, which means that if I have done something, I cannot deny that I have not done it. That is what it means. That if a transaction has been committed by a person X, then that person X can be proved that you only have done this transaction. So this particular feature is part of a blockchain system. Then there is this concept of hash functions, which we use in computer science. One-way hash is a very simple way of saying that, whatever amount of data you give, it will provide you with a particular length of characters. It may be 256 characters or 64-bit or whatever, the hash function that we use. So whatever data you give, it will give you a fixed length output. So that is what hash function does. And it is a very important thing in cryptography and in computer security. We already understood how the blockchain keeps the data secure. We need to understand that, this particular element is what makes it very useful. Otherwise, there are so many databases. We have Oracle database, we have Microsoft SQL database, Postgres database. So why we need blockchain? This question would come again and again in your career or in your future interactions. So important thing is that blockchain keeps the blocks from tampering. You cannot tamper the blockchain. And actually, as per the method which is there in terms of typical consensus mechanism that we use, 51% majority is required to alter the blockchain. So that is the power of a blockchain system. And this 51% number may be very big for certain things, like for example Bitcoin. There may be thousands or millions of users, and changing this would be very difficult. 51% majority. Up and only, as we said, that we cannot change the blocks which are before. whatever changes we have to do, if a owner of a token has changed, this new information will be appended only at the end. It cannot be appended in between. So this is an append only database. So V1 kind of update, for example, in between update is not allowed. Consensus based update means that only when there is an agreement between the nodes, then only some changes can be done. Otherwise, the changes will not be done. So this consensus mechanism is a unique thing, and this is required because there is no central authority. In typical server, we have a central server which will decide what will be the update. But in terms of peers, this central thing is not there. So there has to be a consensus, and there have been in distributed computing, in computer science, there has lot of research has been going on since 1970s, because earlier the computer used to be so, I would say they were not very powerful. So what people wanted, or the computer scientists wanted, that many computers should be able to work together to solve a problem. So this is called distributed computing, and lot of algorithms and lot of work was done in distributed computing. And there is this concept called Byzantine generals problem. So that problem has been there from 1970s onward, and it was many proposals were given, and this blockchain algorithm, or the Bitcoin algorithm, which was first used in 2008, so that solves that Byzantine generals problem. So there is a way to make a consensus which is a reliable consensus, that nobody has tampered with the situation over there. So that mechanism has been implemented in blockchain, and it is a key element which makes blockchain unique than any other database. Then final thing which we talk as feature of blockchain is smart contracts. So smart contract is simply a line of code which you insert. Line means it is a snippet of code that you insert into blockchain. And because blockchain, whatever you write, you cannot change it. It is not possible to change anything when it is written to a blockchain. So whatever code we write in that blockchain, when it is embedded into blockchain, we cannot change it. So smart contracts are something, whatever logic you put, it cannot be changed. And this is a very important way by which blockchain is being used all over the world, because this will make sure that whatever has been written in the contract, whatever has been written in that line of code, that will execute given a particular situation occurs. Like when predetermined conditions are met, that particular code gets automatically executed. So for example, there is a buyer and seller. For example, I order a car and the car reaches my house. The moment car reaches my house, my bank account should get deducted, and the amount should be transferred to the person who sold the car, or the agency who sold the car. So such kind of mechanism can be inbuilt, and I cannot change it. The moment car reaches on my premises, if the geolocation or geo tag of the delivery vehicle says that it has reached my place, then immediately the amount will be deducted. I cannot stop it from deduction. So such a kind of automation is built in using smart contracts, and that is what actually makes blockchain very useful. So now we talk about blockchain ecosystem. So what kind of blockchains are there? So there is something called permission blockchain and permissionless blockchain. So there is two ways that by which we can segregate them, and in each of these there are four types. So there is something called public, then there is a private, then there is a consortium, and then there is a hybrid. So we categorize blockchain based on a business case or based on the requirement, what kind of blockchain will be used. So public blockchains are permissionless in nature, meaning anyone can join them, for example Bitcoin or Ethereum. So here it is a public blockchain and anybody can be part of that blockchain system. In private blockchain there is a central authority which determines who can be a node. So then here, it is not like public blockchain. So for example, in a company, there is a blockchain application. Company would not like that anybody can be part of that blockchain, system. So only those which are who are authorized by company or by the server authority, so they can be part of that blockchain system. Consortium is, it is a permission blockchain, which meaning that it needs somebody to approve that you be part of that particular blockchain. And but what happens is it is governed by a group of organizations. It is not that just one company is governing it. There can be more than one companies. So this is a consortium or federated, sometimes they call it. And then hybrid are kind of blockchains, like where it is controlled by a single organization but with a level of oversight performed by the public blockchain, so which is required for certain transaction validations. So such kind of blockchains are there, and based on our requirement we will use either one of them depending upon what is the business case. There are so many blockchain platforms, and every day, there may be something new which may come up. So it is not very easy to track what all is happening in this particular area, but here I have listed some of the leading blockchain platforms which people or businesses are using. And Ethereum is definitely the leading blockchain platform. Then we have IBM blockchain. Then we have hyper Ledger Fabric, which is by IBM and Linux Foundation. Then Hyperledger Sawtooth, another variant of Hyperledger project. Then R3 Corda, Tezos, EOSIO, or EOS, they generally call it, Stellar, Quorum, Ripple, Tron, Multichain, OpenChain, Neo. Then we have Microsoft Azure blockchain, Oracle blockchain cloud, Flow, Binance Smart Chain, Worldwide Asset Exchange. Then there is some development going on. It is called Tangle, and there is a group called Iota. It is, I think, consortium of many companies or many agencies. So they are also developing a blockchain kind of thing for some future specific use. Now, how do we use blockchain? Most so the way you use normal server or the internet is, using apps. So in blockchain world, what we have is called DApps or decentralized apps. So what a decentralized app is, it has its open source backend code running on a decentralized network, that is peer-to-peer network, which offers, great features like transparency, fairness, proof of ownership. So those kind of things are there in DApp or distributed decentralized app. This may not be there, in a typical app they use. For example, Google, I would say Google app, or we can say Google Map. We do not know what all things are there inside. No code visibility is there. But in DApps, all those things will be available. Its operation is, completely transparent, so people can see how this particular app is operating. Its data and transaction cannot be erased because it is on blockchain. And then we can say that DApps, what is the benefit of DApp is that it can be more trusted, because whatever data is there in DApp, it cannot be just altered. Nobody is just changing what is there in the system. So that way, the control and ownership of data and assets, whatever is there in that DApp, can be maintained and can be guaranteed. So that way, DApp is different than the normal app. The disadvantage may be there with the DApp because it may not be very user friendly, because a lot of development work and other things or user experience UX kind of thing is not there. So it may not be very user friendly, it may just be accomplishing a purpose. So that may be a disadvantage. And DApp industry as of now is very small. So, for example, this particular figure is there that this 218 report is there that 1423, that is around 1500 active dapps, and that also only 3% usage is there on Ethereum, EOS, Steam and Tron blockchain. But we can see that in Apple Store, how many apps are there. 65,000 apps launched in Apple Store in that particular year. So that way, this industry or this particular group is very small, and a lot of work is happening, but it is not at par with the typical Google Play kind of apps or iOS kind of apps. But we use blockchain using DApp. So this concept is very important, and we need to understand how a DApp works. So we come to the discussion of the topic today, that is blockchain applications. So before we understand blockchain applications, we need to understand this concept of asset. So what is an asset? An asset is a resource owned by the business, and it can be either tangible or intangible. Both kind of asset may be there. Tangible assets are real and measurable. They can be physical, such as inventory or whatever, like a car can be an asset, or land can be an asset. Intangible assets are digital, or they are not necessarily digital, but they are not physical. For example, IP, intellectual property, it may be an intangible asset. It can be something, the secret knowledge. For example, Coca-Cola, the kind of recipe they use for their drink, nobody knows. It is an intangible asset, that company has. It can be trademarks, copyrights, those kind of things. Then training material, licenses, all these things are intangible assets. Now this very important concept is there in when we talk about usage of blockchain. So this concept is called tokenization. So what is tokenization? Tokenization can be used to represent commodities, real estate, ownership of artwork, currency, or anything else of value as a digital asset on blockchain. So anything that has a value, it can be converted into a token. Though this concept is very important. And then this token can be of two types. It can be fungible or it can be non-fungible. And we will discuss in detail about these things in subsequent slides. So what is a token? Token is a cryptographic representation of an object, and what can be an example of token? For example, gift voucher or a Amazon gift card. It can be a token. In computing, we use, hardware and software tokens both. And in security, for example, in network authentication, we use security tokens. And for example, in digital signature, we use hardware tokens. So these tokens are very much, these are normal things for computer science. And in computer industry, we use tokens for so many purposes. And the important thing about token is that it can be used as a substitute to the sensitive data. So for example, this particular Zoom session that we have joined, it has a password. But when we simply click the Zoom link, it does not ask for password. It simply connects. Why? Because the password has been encrypted as token using some algorithm which, Zoom has used. So that way we can tokenize important thing, like password can be tokenized. We can distribute this URL to anybody, and they will not be able to know what the password of this session is. They can simply join it. So this is a very important thing that we use. In blockchain world, token exist digitally on a blockchain and they are operated cryptographically. So they are generated, protected, transferred using various cryptographic protocols. So the concept is token converts an asset to a digital token. So tokenization is converting an asset to a digital token. Now we have, this particular concept. So crypto assets. So what are crypto assets? Crypto assets are digital assets which are cryptographic, which use cryptographic techniques to generate a medium of exchange of financial transactions. So for example, like I have a car, so I can buy a car, I can sell a car, I can rent a car. So those things should be able to do for our other assets also. So that is how, these crypto assets are enabled in a blockchain system. And cryptocurrencies, utility coins, security tokens are all different types of crypto assets. In future, there is this concept called metaverse, or you must have heard, the Facebook changed its name to Meta. This concept metaverse is a virtual world. Earlier we used to call it cyberspace, but cyberspace is the internet or the network world. But metaverse is something where you can go, you can talk to friends, you can watch a movie. Now there was recently a news, that in metaverse people are getting married. So those kind of things are there. So what will be the currency in metaverse? Suppose I want to buy something in metaverse, so that would be a cryptocurrency or digital currency will be there. And we will be talking also about games, that you many of you might be having the knowledge of games. So there also, you can buy certain things in a game, you can sell certain things. So those things are done using cryptocurrencies. And then there is this very important thing called NFT, which we will be discussing in detail. So when it comes to NFT space, there can be the things like crypto collectibles or digital collectibles, which can represent various artworks, photographs, images, audio, music files. It can be a PDF document. It can even be a tweet, like this first tweet which was sent through Twitter. So anything can which has a value or which can be considered as a collectible, so that can be part of a token in a token economy. So this is a recent news. You must have heard, that Amitabh Bachchan Ji, he went into NFT kind of thing, and he sold his NFTs. And we have a small video in the next page. But in this particular thing, we see, there is poetic Amitabh Bachchan Ji. So he is reciting Madhushala, what his father wrote. So in his own original voice, he is recording or reciting those things. So that becomes a NFT. Then there is a autographed poster, original poster of movie Sholay. So that is also an NFT. And then there may be another gifts like that. So this is a new thing which has come up. New, I would say 3-4 years or 5 years, but it has taken up by storm, last year in 2021. And we will be discussing this particular topic in detail because any one of you, can have your journey into this NFT world. And, why should only, people outside India, they are taking the benefit of this NFT. Why can't we from India, take the benefit of NFT? So this is a very important concept that we need to learn, and it is one of the very important uses of blockchain world. So then there is can be luxury NFTs. Luxury NFTs means, like, for example, Rolex watches or Hermes or Gucci. So these luxury brands, they are coming up with their NFTs, and it is estimated that by 2030, this will be a $56 billion market. So this is a very important area, where we can understand what the concept is, what the technology is, how it is done, and we ourselves, can be part of this whole ecosystem. So here is this small video. Let me just see if it runs, which talks about Amitabh Bachchan Ji's NFT. So I hope it runs. So you see here that his NFT is there on sale in this particular website. So people can buy it for any amount of money. And what I heard, or I mean, somehow I came to know that more than 5 crore rupees he earned by this NFT when it was launched. So this is a very important concept, and anybody can monetize this particular concept. Even Salman Khan and other actors, they are also thinking about having their own NFTs. So let us understand what an NFT is, because this is an important thing, and anybody can get into this particular domain. So while we talked about tokens, tokens can be of two types. One is called fungible, and other is non-fungible. So bitcoins, like for example, money, or if I have 100 rupee note, I can get another 100 rupee note, and both of them have same value. So just like bitcoin, one bitcoin or the another bitcoin, whatever number of bitcoins are there, each one of them is having the same value. They are fungible. In finance or economic term, we call these things as fungible. Fungible means that we can substitute one from the another. But in case of non-fungible, what happens is that whatever item is there, it is a unique item. We cannot change it. It cannot be, substituted by something else. So, for example, if there is a original painting by Picasso, then that is a original painting. No, I can make a copy of that painting, but that original painting is non-fungible. I cannot change it. It cannot be substituted by something else. So this NFT is a very important concept in tokenization. So if we can have something as a unique thing, and if that thing can be of value, then it can be converted into an NFT. So here this example is there. Every day is a every day is the first 5,000 days. It is a collage of around 5,000 pictures. So all the pictures he put into a single picture, and then that picture was sold as an NFT, and it was sold for millions of dollar. I think 59 million dollar or so. So this is a big amount of money, just collecting 5,000 original pictures of his own, making a collage, and then selling it. So this was a big thing which happened. And then there are other uses of NFTs, which we discussed in other slides. So for example, gaming, gaming, 60% of DApps in the market are games. So what happens in a gaming? How do they use NFT? So they use NFT by, putting the situations under the games. So if any video game has, you can buy weapon using NFT. You can buy a land in the video game using NFT. So those things, which people want to possess, or they want to have, or they want to collect, so those can be changed into NFT. So this gaming is a big thing, where people have used NFT, and they have earned so much of money by using this. This particular case study I have taken, it is called CryptoPunks, and there are other case studies as well, like CryptoKitties and those which were launched in the beginning of these NFTs. So let us just take one example. This CryptoPunks. What is CryptoPunks? So CryptoPunks punk is, it was some group in London. And what was the unique thing about punks was that they were out of the way, like out of the society. They displayed themselves as somebody distinct, somebody different. So they had their own persona, which may not fit to the society. So misfits or eccentrics, you can call them. So CryptoPunk is a computer generated imagery for that. So such misfits or eccentric kind of punks were generated. So punks are nothing but these small pictures. We see these pictures, and these two people who started these punks, they generated 10,000 of these punks. And then out of these 10,000, 6039 are male punks, and 3840 are female punks. Then out of these, we can see 696 wear hot lipstick, while 303 have mutton chops. Then there are other punks like who wear 3D glasses, then rosy cheeked punks, 94 punks with pigtails and buck teeth, and a lot of unique characteristic has been given to each of these punks. So each punk is a unique. So out of this 10,000, I can know each punk by its own characteristics or features. Then there are these 8 punks, which are Genesis punks. So these way, they have created this 10,000 images, and they call them crypto punks. And you can see that what now how the value is generated, how this blockchain is used, or how the crypto is used. So what they have given us is that one person can officially own a crypto punk. So if I say that I own punk number 6023, so I am a unique owner. So it is just like, for example, I say that I have a original, I would say, painting of Picasso. So if I say that, similarly, I say that I am a original owner of this particular punk. So only one person can own a one punk, one crypto punk. So this particular thing has been embedded into this crypto punk thing. So now when we do that, and when we put this particular representation, so how we can ensure that only one person can own a punk? That can be done using a blockchain. So they have used Ethereum based contract on blockchain, and they have like sold all these punks. So that way, you can monetize anything which has value or which people like. So people are crazy about these crypto punks, and they want to buy, and they share with their friends that I have this punk, or I have that punk, or my punk is having these features. So it is just a like it is just like having something good or something that makes you happy, and people are willing to pay for it. So, for example, as we saw, Amitabh Bachchan Ji is reciting Madhushala. So somebody can say that I am the owner of original record of that particular event. So something like that. So if we can make something of value, then we can sell it using blockchain. We can sell it using NFTs. So you see here, they have, like in this particular case, 1,000 of these punks they have kept for themselves, and others are available for sale. And in the beginning, there was no interest. People were not willing to buy these punks. But later on, there was so much of craze, that people are willing to buy each punk by thousands of dollars. So, like if I want to buy this particular red-haired punk, I may have to pay thousands of dollars. So this is how this crypto NFT market, has started. NFT application area, see, digital art is a very prominent area. Then we talked about fashion, like luxury brands. So, for example, if something is very I would say, like suppose there is a bag or there is a eye sunglass which is very costly. Say it costs say 90,000. So I may not be able to buy that glass if I am just a student or somebody. But if it is made an NFT, it may be possible for me to buy that and own that and share with my friends or share with the society that I own this particular thing. So this fashion NFT is a big thing which is going to happen, and it has already started happening. Then we can have these licenses and certifications. So these can be part of NFTs. Then collectibles, as I said, crypto kitties. So I have this particular kitten as a collectible. For example, earlier, old days, people used to collect stamps. So postal stamps they used to collect, or coins they used to collect. Some people collect very unique things about different places. So we, anything which can be made a collectible, we can make it as an NFT. Then we have sports. It is a very big area where we can use NFT, so name, service, and domains. That can be NFT. Virtual worlds can be NFT. Gaming, we already discussed. That we can sell different items in a game, and people can use them as NFTs. So this is a very big market, and it is not very difficult to get into it. If you are a student or if you have some understanding of blockchain world, you can very easily get into this NFT area. Now, other than this simple tokenization, which we discussed, there are very important areas where blockchain is likely to make a lot of I would say this is a disruptive technology, they call it. Disruptive means it will change the way things are done today. For example, you don't see, I would say, the last telegraph was sent some year back, I think 2 or 3 years back, and then they stopped telegraphs. So now people use email or they use mobile phones or whatever, but nobody is sending telegrams. Similarly, the way we see things happening. For example, I go to a bank, I if I have to send if I have to deposit money to for my fee, I make a transfer to the bank, and then bank transfers it to my college's account in one, say 1 hour, 2 hour, or 3 hour. But we can do all these things peer to peer in future. So this particular thing is called decentralized finance, DeFi. So decentralized finance is a very big thing which is going to happen using the power of blockchain. And what is the key attraction? Why people want to have decentralized finance? Because it eliminates the fee, that banks and other financial companies charge. And this fee we may not realize because we use individual transactions, but organizations, which use very big transactions. So this, even if there is a 1% or 0.5% or 0.1% fee, it can even go to millions of dollars. So such kind of things are there. So this fee is a very big thing for organizations, and it is possible to eliminate these fee which these financial organizations charge using blockchain based ecosystem, decentralized finance. Decentralized finance uses something called stable coins, which is another crypto very important concept, stable coins. And then it uses software and hardware, that is a blockchain ecosystem. And a lot of regulations are going on in this particular domain. So development is happening, and some work is being done. It is not a complete thing now, but in future it is likely to be a very big disruptive thing in finance domain. Now another use case is government. How government can use blockchain is that law enforcement and border control. It is a very big area. For example, police has some records, and then there are intelligence agencies. For example, in India we have raw, and then there are different agencies like enforcement directorate is there, CBI is there. Each one of them have their own database. Each one of them have their own way of keeping records. And for example, if there is a criminal and he or she is trying to leave the country, so the passport officer who is sitting at the at airport may not have all those information. So that is why there is a lot of loophole, and there is a lot of areas where we can use this blockchain as a technology by having a common database. So this database will be there, and using a smart contract, if we have this database of these kind of security and intelligence information, then whatever is, because blockchain, as we know, peer to peer, everybody is having the same I would say copy of the data. So if I make any change, if any agency makes any change, all the information is available to all the participants in real time. So this is a very important thing, very big thing. If it can be done, so this will really be very helpful for the government. Then voting is another thing, blockchain based voting system. Why people don't trust digital voting is because we can change it. We I make a program and I can change that the vote goes to party X or party Y, depending upon whatever is my preference, or whatever is my purpose. But if there is a blockchain based voting system, so whatever data is there on the blockchain, it cannot be changed. Yeah, and that can be a very important thing. Then people will trust it. People will say that this is a reliable data that we have. And this is a very important application of blockchain, and some countries are even trying to have such a kind of system. It may not be there right now, but this is a very important use case of blockchain. Then there is this concept called IoT security. IoT is a big subject in itself. So typically, IoT has these layers, where we have physical device, network, management, and application. And in order to make it more secure, for example, autonomous cars. So, you can imagine what will happen if, some hacker takes control of all the autonomous cars. Then there can be a great havoc in the whole ecosystem, smart city. So this blockchain can come as a very important use case for security for IoT. So out after this network layer and management layer, we can have a blockchain layer which can work as a security interface between the two layers. So this is a very good case, and some work is going on in this, and people can make it a reality. Then in healthcare, this healthcare has a very great issue of data. See, we are taking a lot of data, like every device, for example, if whatever device you use in healthcare, most of them are capturing data, and that data is kept in that particular device only. Like MRI data is there, X-ray data is there, everything is digital now. But where is that data going? Where is that data? Like those data are just lost. The insights are lost. They are not shared because of the privacy considerations, or there may be data breaches and frauds. Like people are misusing our data. Like they may alter the data, and they can like do many bad things. For example, like they can get a particular drug passed by manipulating the data related to that particular I would say health related study, or whatever government has permitted. So if we keep the health record data on blockchain, then that data cannot be altered. So whatever data is there, once we entered it into blockchain, that data is available for everybody. So a lot of research can be done on that data. A lot of new medical, I would say, breakthroughs can happen. new drugs can be discovered. So drug discovery, finding new ways of treating certain diseases. So those things are possible if we have healthcare data on blockchain, and people are working towards it. And we hope that future is bright if we have blockchain based database for healthcare. Then supply chain is another area. Blockchain has this particular concept is called provenance. Provenance means I can find out from where a particular thing originated. So blockchain makes it, enables it. Blockchain enables provenance for a particular thing. So for example, vaccine distribution network, food distribution, container logistics, digital identity verification for procurement. So those things can be enabled using blockchain when we use it in supply chain. Here we see that example in terms of food safety. So farmer is also writing in the same blockchain, processing facility is writing in the same blockchain, distributor is writing in the same blockchain, retailer is writing in the same blockchain, and consumer can verify it, that this particular food item is a verified food item. For example, people, if I claim, that my food is organic, I have not used any pesticide or something in my food, in the preparation of that food. So how does consumer know? Why would he pay twice for that particular item if he or she is not sure that this is really an organic food? But if I can prove to the customer that this is an organic food from the farmer till the processing, distributor, retailer chain, then the customer will be willing to pay, because people are concerned about their health, they're health conscious. So this thing is possible through blockchain. We can track the entire journey of food using a blockchain network, which cannot be altered. Now the final thing that we discuss about blockchain application is this land registry. So in India, or in most of the places, but especially in India, what we have is this record, record is there with government, record of rights, they call it ROR. So record of right document is what is given to the user. Like, so if I am a owner, so what I will have, I will have a record of rights. And then if I sell it, then there will be a sales deed and other things. So that is how this thing is maintained in typical land registry. And this is very disputable. One land may have multiple owners in, because people do a lot of forgery and other things. And this area is really a mess. Nobody knows who is the real owner. If you go to the government records, you may think that this is your property, but somebody else might have sold it in his or her name. So these things are very much prevalent in our country, and blockchain is a very important technology which can stop, which can actually make it better. So blockchain based land registry can be used, and once things are recorded, then whatever future transactions will happen on that particular piece of land, they will all be part of that blockchain system. So we will be able to prove that this he or she is the right owner for that particular land, and everybody can find it in real time, that who is the real owner. And like, if I want validation, I can do the validation in real time. So this is very important, because these farmers, they have to undergo a lot of I would say issues whenever there is loss of their farming, because of rain, because of thunderstorm, or because of something. So they are not able to get compensation, because this ROR document is so it is not trustworthy. So it takes months and months for them to really get the compensation. But with a blockchain based system, they can get the compensation on real time. So this is a very big area, and many governments are working on this. I think government of Telangana was working, and Even Haryana government was considering, but I'm not sure of the latest status how it is. But this is a very promising, use case of blockchain. So I think our time is over, and with this I conclude. And I hope this session has been useful for you. So thank you very much.
Thank you,
Our
sir. It was
participants
really a great learning experience for each of us. With this, we would like to mark the end of the session. We would like to thank our speaker, Mr. Bhagirat Kumar Lader, for spending his valuable time and delivering this wonderful session with us.
Yeah, thank you everyone. Thank you for this opportunity. And anyone, if you have any questions, you can write to me. My email ID was shared. So if you would like to know more, you can always get back to me. So thank you everyone. Yeah.
We'd also like to thank all our participants who joined us today. We hope you all had an informative session. And also, we are grateful for the guidance and support from our faculty coordinator, Dr. P. Nityananda.
Do follow OWASP to get notified for more such events and join our server. We continuously solve CTFs and your queries too. All the participants are requested to fill the feedback form in the chat box.
Okay. Thank you.
We
Thank
have
you.
now come to the end of our workshop series, Blocked Up. Over the past 2 days, we have looked into the architecture and working of blockchain, writing smart contracts using Solidity, and we've also discussed the applications of blockchain. I'm sure all cryptography and blockchain enthusiasts found these sessions very interesting and informative. Thank you all. We'll now end this meeting.
Thank you.